Hi, welcome to Behind the Sounds. Today I have with me the extraordinarily talented Audra Mae from Nashville. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here virtually. How are you? How are things?
I'm virtually fine. Thank you for having me on your new show. I love it. I've discovered so many people. I mean, I've seen like a couple people that I knew their music, but it's been really cool to discover new people.
Thank you so much. That is the plan. It's the best time I'm finding quarantine and this whole situation, as crazy as it is. I think it's such a great time for new music and to discover new things because you have, well, a lot of people have so much more time on their hands. So that means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we have so much to get through. You've done so much in the last kind of 10 years or so. And literally, even when I was writing my notes today, I was like, there's so much to talk about. But I want to kind of start up with how you became a singer. Like, was it when you were a child, you were like, I want to grow up, I want to be on stage? Or like, was it a natural progression? How did you kind of realize that that was what you wanted to do?
I don't remember a time where I wasn't singing. My grandmother really was like raised me mostly, and she just always had my back. But when I was 2 years old, she started figuring out that I had this crazy memory and I could mimic sounds and recite things and sing on pitch and all this stuff. And so she took a cassette tape recording of me doing like nursery rhymes and little hymns and singing happy birthday and stuff like that. And I think her playing that for people and kind of like bragging on me stuck with me so much that so it was kind of both. Like, I was naturally born singing, but also her positive influence since before really I have memories. I mean, I still have the cassette tape. Wow. But I kind of remember like one of the golden, those nursery rhyme books, the children's books that have like the gold spine.
Yeah.
Golden books, I think they're called. I kind of remember the book that they came out of, but I don't really have like vivid memories of actually doing it. I have the proof that it happened, but it's just been ingrained in me since I was born. I've just always kind of been doing it and grew up in music theater and always on stage, and it's my happy place, I guess you could say. Also, I'm really sorry if my dog starts barking because I just saw the mailman come by and she thinks he's trying to kill us all the time.
Oh.
And she thinks the only reason he didn't kill us is because she barked. So if she sees him, I'm sorry.
No worries. Okay. Human nature. Well, dog nature. So literally kind of fast forwarding through everything, when did you kind of realize that I want to do this for a career, this is how I'm going to do it? Were there anything like first steps that you thought, I need to take these steps to kind of start my career?
It was always. I mean, even when I was like, I remember being like maybe like 8 years old, 8 or 9, and making an entire like poster board presentation for my mother, begging her like, these are the reasons why I think that we should move to Hollywood, because I need to be on these shows. We gotta go talk to Nickelodeon, like we gotta, I grew up acting and singing way before I was writing anything. So I just all the time. When I moved to LA, I had spent a year outside of Nashville going to college, and I flunked out both semesters because all I did was write songs. So I'm sort of wired. I am 100% built and wired for entertainment, and pretty much everything else, I'm almost like below the national average. I just can't. I work on it. I do my best, but I try not to be too hard on myself. Like, just everything other than performing, writing, singing, entertaining, I'm not great at.
Yeah, but you're so good at the performing and writing and entertaining. So there you go, it evens itself out. So when did you officially make the move to LA?
2004, January, I think, of 2004. And I was there for 13 years, almost 14, and then came to Nashville from LA. I wanted to move to Nashville 5 years earlier than I actually did. But on the hard to take but good to hear advice of my team professionally, I waited to move here so that I would be a little more established as a writer. Because even if you have friends in a town, if you don't live there, you're still kind of starting over when you move there. So
definitely. Yeah. And so you kind of had a bit of your first few years, kind of from the release of your first EP, the first couple of years, almost from when you kind of look at how much you did, was it a bit of a whirlwind for you, all of it? Did it seem to happen very quickly, kind of releasing the music and being, I don't know if you toured, or did everything happen quickly, or did it feel like a bit of a slug almost?
Looking back, it was fast. Mm-hmm. But while it was happening, it felt very when you know who you are and what you're built for, and you just can see exactly where you want to go. Yeah. Every little step feels like it's taking too long, come on. Like you're just, especially in the beginning, you're trying so much to just get the crap out of the way, mm-hmm. so that you can get to where you want to go. So it, hindsight, it happened quick, but while it was happening, also I was really young. I moved to LA when I was 19. I was about to turn 20. And I think, at that age, everything is happening too slow. It's like, come on, life, where are you? Come, meet me halfway. So in hindsight, it happened really quickly, but it always feels like it's, when you're in it, it always seems like it's taking longer. Time is weird like that,
Yeah, definitely. And you kind of say you had a vision of where you wanted to be. So in a nutshell, what was that? What was the goal? Was it just to kind of get a song on the radio or go on tour, or was there anything in particular that was like, that's going to be where I end up?
It was more like fast forwarding in my brain to I used to tell people when I was 4 years old exactly what I was going to do. So it wasn't so much like the goal is to make a record or to go on a tour or whatever. It was just like, the goal is to be paying all my bills by doing what I love, and also that other people enjoy it. Like that people like it and want to hear what I have to sing about or say or whatever. So it wasn't so much like a tangible goal as much as it was like a lifestyle goal. Like, it's never really bothered me I don't bother myself with exact, plans or things like that. It's just more like, I'm going to die if I have to keep doing this day job thing. Like, I can't, my whole brain would shut down, and I worked at a great place. It was just like, I would go to work and not even remember half of the day because I'm staring out the window daydreaming. It was like it was when I was in school, Yeah. I've always been able to kind of listen and absorb information and then kind of fake my way through a test or a whatever, try to be like, I don't know, I guess. So I somehow didn't get bad grades. I only got fired once. And even then it was just because I was like, I was sort of like being like Joan of Arc about, like, I was fighting for justice. They were like, you're gone. Like, we don't need you here. We need you to, follow orders, not like rebel.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. As far as specific goals go, it was more just like to be completely self-sufficient, independent, supporting myself, making art the way I want to, and that kind of stuff can't happen overnight. And I'm pretty close to there. I mean, I'm financially, I don't have a day job or anything, but it's just been in the past 2 years since moving to Nashville that I've been really prolific as an artist on my own terms, the way I see the vision happening. Also, obviously, collaborating with other people.
Yeah.
The way that, we have a common goal or a common vision. This past 2 years has really been when it came to fruition. And I'm 36, so that means, what, 17 years?
Yeah.
Most of just like really being like, come on, please, over and over again. But eventually, you just keep going, and one day you kind of knock your head into where you're going, and you're like, oh my God, I'm here. Okay, now what? So I feel like the fun part just started.
Amazing. So we're going to talk about obviously songwriting and being in Nashville, but kind of before we get to like that stage, obviously when you moved and things, as a obviously solo artist, you had EPs and you released your own music, but a lot of your kind of, I suppose, recognition in the past, I mean kind of 2013, came from you being a guest vocalist on singles, working with people like Avicii and Flowrider. What was that like for you, as kind of going from working on your own to working with these huge artists and just having your music on this massive platform?
Well, I grew up in music theater, so taking direction and collaborating comes naturally to me, going in, and I'd been writing songs for a long time professionally too at that point. So going in to work with Avicii, with Tim, was really easy. I mean, first of all, I had no idea anything about EDM, the dance world. I wasn't aware. All my friends were.
Yeah.
But I just wasn't a part of it. I just didn't feel like I wasn't really relating to it very much. I didn't understand what the magic of it was.
Right, yeah.
And so when I went in to work with Tim, I had no idea who he was. I just knew that my publisher at the time had called me last minute and said, hey, can you be at this studio at like 8:00 tonight? Because there's this guy, he's in town, and he's like this really great dance artist, and he's like an amazing EDM producer. And I was like, I mean, sure, I have to take my sister to work, but so can I be there at 9 instead? Like, so I went and went to the studio, and he was just so sweet, so nice, and really curious, and just insatiable curiosity, and just like relentless search for ideas. And when he would get an idea, it would pop into his head like the whole song all at once, like a whole part all at once. Yeah. And he would sit down and grind it out for as long as it took, but the part would never change. Like, he would sing it in the room, he'd be like, it goes like this, da, 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 and I'd be like, okay. And then he'd go over to the keyboard and painstakingly like get it out, write it out and get it done for like as long as it took, sometimes hours. And he never forgot what the original idea was. So it was thrilling. I felt very at home because he was so nice. It wasn't like, a lot of people are creepy and weird. And he was the opposite of that.
Yeah.
And he was just really sweet. So that it was, every time I got to work with him, it was a joy. It was wonderful. He was so special.
Yeah, indeed. Do you know how he found you? Like, was it he was like, I want this voice, or I want to write with this girl?
Yeah, he was working with a man named Nick Groff, who's incredible. He was, I think, A&R, maybe at, I can't remember where at the time. But he had asked Nick and told Nick that he wanted to work with songwriters who could also sing, because he had this idea for this project. And so Nick sent him a bunch of stuff, and that's how he found a lot of people.
Yeah.
Me and Mac Davis, who wrote Addicted to You, and I'm assuming a lot of different people that he collaborated with. But it was because of Nick.
Amazing. And obviously, so it was his debut album that you kind of featured heavily on. Did he, or did you know even how big it was all going to be? Because he blew up. It must have been huge for you.
I had no idea at all, because like I said, I just wasn't privy to any of that. And so he asked everyone involved in that record to go to Ultra Music Fest in Miami with him.
Yeah.
He was opening for, I want to say he was like, it was the main stage, and he was like second to last that night on the main stage. I can't remember who was going on after him, like Daft Punk or something. Someone like huge. He knew. I mean, he was so aware. He knew his fans. He knew that genre. He lived and breathed it. I mean, he worked so much. He was always working. If he wasn't on his computer doing something on the way to a show, he was doing a show. Or, if he would get sick, he would be doing, he'd be in the hospital doing it. He knew way more than obviously than I had no idea. But we went and played that festival with him, and the first half of his set was his, like, what would you call them? Like the what do they call them? The 6-pack or the 8-pack, the 3-pack, whatever, like your big hits. And then the second half of the set was his new record. And he knew, I mean, while we were walking after the show, walking back to the dressing rooms, I could hear him talking to one of his really good friends. And he was saying, I mean, he exactly called out exactly what was going to happen. He knew it. And I think that's part of why he was so loved by his fans. I think people can sense that.
Yeah.
Someone is sincere and genuine, and they're there for you, the fan, not for themselves so they can seem cool. Like, he was so there for them. They just had it's rare that an artist and their fans are that. It reminds me of, like, John Bellion. They have the same kind of, like, he knows his fans. They have a trusted bond, and he doesn't violate that. And because of that, they appreciate whatever new idea, innovative thing he's trying to bring to the table. So it's such a joy to work with people like that, who just, I learned so much from that. I'm still kind of like, who are my fans? How do I get, and how do I let them know that I love them if I don't know who they are, But Tim just knew stuff. He had a lot of foresight.
Yeah, amazing. And how did it change things for you from going to kind of, obviously, because you wrote a lot of the songs as well as being a featured vocalist, so did it change things for you in the fact, were you getting more calls? Were you getting more kind of people that wanted to write with you?
Yeah.
Did it all kind of take off then, or was it not that much change?
It was kind of the first cut I ever got, the first song I ever wrote that someone else sang was a few years before that. And so it was a steady kind of, but that year in particular was a lot of things happened that year. So it was a combination of, working with Tim's music coming out, getting, you know, songwriting credits on other people's stuff, having people cover my songs and put them on their records and all that kind of, so that was a really big year. And I'd also gone on this road trip because, like I said, I wanted to move to Nashville 5 years before I actually did.
Mm-hmm.
And when everyone was like, don't do that, it broke my heart. And so I said, okay, fine, well then I'm going to go on this road trip by myself. I'm going to go all over the South in the US, like find out where the blues came from. I'm going to go to all the places where my favorite blues artists are from. And so those songs were coming out while I was on that road trip by myself.
Yeah.
So I got a different, I'm sure it was huge, but I wasn't there to be invited to the cool party to do the cool thing, which was very healthy for me. And so I got to experience it on a really personal, almost like spiritual level, because I was alone in my car driving around, you know, the country. And so every time one of those songs would come out, it was like, oh yeah, another song's out. Oh, let me go listen to it. You know, it felt really intimate.
That's really good. And I think the fact that you kind of appreciate that you weren't there for all the parties and things, I suppose, do you feel like you have a different relationship with the music because of that? Yes,
I feel like it got to be mine. That experience I didn't feel like it was everyone else's. To like kind of come in and be like, well, I always knew you were gonna be a big star one day, you know. Like, that's nice when people say that, but at the same time, if that's all you're hearing and you don't have any time with just you and yourself and that music to soak it up and really be grateful and remember and go back in your mind and like have those moments alone, for me at least, I can only speak for myself, then it can feel, that's I think when it starts to feel like you're being swept up in a whirlwind, because it doesn't feel like it's yours, or like you don't have time to really experience it or appreciate it, let it sink into your heart and make it real. It's so easy, like, you know, you have some cool thing happen and then you go to the cool party where people say, yay, you had a cool thing happen, right? And then you come home and you got the same trash in your trash can. Same laundry in your laundry basket. You are exactly the same. So if you don't have time to process what's happening or what just happened, I think for a lot of people it can feel almost like a letdown. Like, but I thought my whole life was supposed to change. I thought it was, people used to tell me that all the time. You have no idea. This is going to change your whole life. And I would always say, how? And they'd go, well, you just don't even know. And I'm like, yeah, I don't. Do you know? Like, can you tell me how this is going to change my life? Because I'd like to prepare for it. If there's something I can do. They never know what they're just saying, you just wait. Everything's going to be different. Guess what? It's not. It's not going to be different.
And at this point, were you, because obviously, as I said, you both sang and wrote on the album, and as you were saying, you had kind of quite a few co-writes at that time. Was there anything in particular you were focusing on? Was it, right, I'm going to focus on my writing at this point, or I'm going to focus on releasing my own music, or was it just kind of...
I've always done both. I am the type of person that if I'm not doing more than one thing at a time, I'm doing nothing. It's really hard for me. And I know there's whole books written about how you shouldn't do that. But I have many times tried to do it the other way, and that's just not how my brain is wired. As a matter of fact, it's the exact opposite. I'm 10 times more prolific and inspired and just lit up with what I'm doing when I'm not sitting around and going like, oh, one thing, is this one thing? Because, especially when it comes to creativity, sometimes you hit the end of that road for the day right there. But
Yeah.
it feels so good to have something going on that if you've got like a book you're reading or something else you're trying to write or a TV show you're trying to catch up on or whatever, you can kind of bounce, distract your mind. Even just like sweeping the floor can help you distract your mind to let more ideas come in.
Yeah.
If I'm just sitting trying to focus on one thing, it's like it creates this wall where inspiration can't get in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And it obviously did well for you because you have written for some amazing people. To name a few: Christina Aguilera, Kelly Clarkson, Celine Dion. Has there been anyone in particular? Because we're going to talk about Miranda Lambert as well, which is a kind of different story in itself because you had already released a song. But is there anyone that you've written for or with, for that matter, that has just been like, oh my gosh, that happened?
Celine Dion, beyond. There's no, I don't know. I can't imagine. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I can't imagine like that experience being beaten out by any other writing experience in my life. She was so, I got to meet her. They like said I could come to the studio when she was recording it. I called my mentor and said, do you think I should go? And she was like, yes, are you crazy? You know, I'm like, well, it kind of just felt like, yeah, you can come if you want. She's like, who cares? Go. So I went, and she walked in a cream colored suit with all gold jewelry. She was a vision. She smelled like heaven. She was the prettiest woman I'd ever seen in my life. It makes me emotional even thinking about it. She came in, hello everyone, just so regal and lovely, and everyone stood up, and I kind of like cowered. I went and hid by like one of the speakers or something in the studio, and she called me out. She said, where's the singer? Where's this, like, where is she? Everyone moved out of the way. I was like, you know. And she said, come over here, and was so sweet to me and just said the nicest things to me. And she would like ask me what I thought about stuff, or if she was having an issue in any place, she'd be like, wait, where's Audra? Audra, what do you think I should do? And I'll never know for the rest of my life whether she was just humoring me, like trying to make me think I would knew, you know what I mean? She's that nice that she might do something like that. But I took two things from it that really blew me away. One was that she will go into a studio, and the first thing she does, instead of like singing the song, the first thing she does is she goes to the part of the song that she feels the least confident about. And she messes up on purpose over and over and over again. So that she'll never mess up again. So she leads with the mess up. She leads with this might be a part where I'm the least confident here. She'll go into that part and like let her voice crack, let herself miss it, let herself be on purpose, like consciously, until she irons that little wrinkle out, and then she's like, okay, let's start me at the beginning. And then she never messes up ever again. And that was like very profound. Like, lead with the mess up. Don't be afraid to mess up. As a matter of fact, mess up on purpose, and then you're in charge of the failure or whatever, like if you're consciously doing it. And the other thing was like how sweet her husband was to her. He just was so sweet, and he was like this big guy, and there was a a moment where she was sitting on the floor in the live room of the studio. They had this big microphone that they had like moved down like a crane to be right in front of her, and she was sitting there, and it was kind of cold, and she didn't even complain that it was cold. You could tell she was kind of chilly.
Yeah.
And he just, without even saying a word, just went in there and took his jacket off and put it around her. And so she was just like sitting with this like suit jacket, of like big suit jacket and microphone. It was really sweet. I thought that looks like something worth waiting for there, right there.
Definitely. Oh, I mean, it must have been obviously a dream working with her and writing for her. But how did the song get to her? Was it written for her, or did someone hear it and say, right, this is for her?
One of them, there was two of them. I think the up-tempo one, Somebody Love Somebody, I think when we wrote that, we had her in mind. And I think it was because she already liked this other one that was a ballad called Breakaway, which we wrote way before we even knew. I mean, it was probably like a year or two before. And I assume she heard about it from her A&R at Columbia, I think is where she was at the time. He was wonderful, and so I think also the guys that I wrote those songs with were a Swedish trio of writer-producers called Play Production.
Yeah.
So I think they had a relationship kind of with her. They kind of had the in. And we had worked together multiple times. And so it was really good of them to bring me in and all that. But it definitely wasn't me. I definitely didn't like call her up like, hey, what up?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you could now, though. Have you, has there been any kind of song since which you think, oh yeah, that would suit her? Maybe I'll just give her a ring.
There have been a million, and usually, you just try to send them in, but there are so many writers, and every year it's like, I mean, maybe even every quarter. It's probably different now because of the lockdown and everything, but so many new people are getting signed all the time. So if you're an artist that doesn't like writing, you're probably not going to want to work, especially if you're Celine Dion, with the same people over and over again, because you want to stay relevant and you want to stay fresh, and you don't want to get stuck in like a crew that doesn't know everybody else in the industry. She's been so brilliant in the way that she's branched out and allowed for different influences and different writers and singers to come in. And if she weren't like that, I never would have got to write with her. Yeah. So, I mean, 2 songs on a Celine Dion record, I figure that's pretty good. If she ever wants to write again, she knows where to find me. That's all right. But
I think you've hit the nail on the head there as well by saying, like, she's one of these artists that no matter, I mean, she's been around for decades, and she still will release an album and it will be as relevant today and it will fit in. And I think as you know, she's just incredible. So I think for you, what an amazing experience to have had, and to just amazing. So I obviously said to you before, we're going to talk quite a bit about Miranda Lambert and your experience with her, because you had released the song Little Red Wagon on one of your own albums, and in 2015 it was released on her platinum album, came out as a single, and was a huge single for her, top 20 hit. What's the story of that song? So when you kind of first wrote it and released it, and then how did it get to Miranda all those years?
Here's the story of that song. I was watching a documentary about summer camp. Mm-hmm. And there were all these little boys marching with their camp counselor, singing this cadence, which I found out years later is actually like a military cadence, like for the Marines. You can't ride in my little red wagon, And then they'd be like, the front wheel's broken and the axle's dragging. Okay. I could not get it out of my head. And I was making this album at the time with a bunch of friends of mine. It was this amazing collaborative experience called Audra Mae and the Almighty Sound. So my friend Joe Ginsberg, we would work together almost every day. He lived down the street from me at the time in LA, and so he'd walk up to my house, and we would just sit around and noodle around and think about like ideas and stuff. And I said, I got this one, and it just keeps, it's in my head, it won't stop. And we worked on that thing for, I want to say like maybe 3 different times that we were writing together. I keep knocking my guitar. It kept itching at me. We didn't have a verse. We didn't have anything. We just had this chorus over and over again. And one day I said, you know what? Here's what we need to do. We need to get in Goldie. Goldie was my car at the time.
Yeah.
Dodge Dart. She was gold with a black vinyl top. And she was like my best friend. And I said, we need to get into Goldie, and we need to just go cruise the Sunset Strip back and forth. We'll just drive real slow. We'll keep going back and forth. I'll drive, you play. He's like, great. So we did. And so I'd be like tapping out rhythms and stuff on the steering wheel, and he's like playing the guitar in the front seat, and we'd hit stoplights and look over, and people would be like, what the hell are they doing? And by the time we got home, we had the whole song.
Amazing.
And it just was like, I just was describing exactly where we were and what I was wearing and what was happening. I was like, you only love me for my big sunglasses and my Tony Lomas, my boots I had on, and my Dodge Dart Classic and all this shit. And what's funny is I always saw it as this story about like, you know, whenever you see somebody kind of on their way, they start to kind of shine a little bit different and glow a little bit different, and people notice them walking around. You start to get that like rock star vibe about you, and that's when everybody wants to come on and be a part of ride your coattails.
Yeah.
But you don't have your shit together all the way yet. The front wheel's broken and the axle's, you can't bring these people with you. You don't need, June Carter and Johnny Cash, it took them a long time for their lives to match up to where it made sense for them to be together. So like there's lyrics in there. And anyway, I put the record out. We all loved it. We played one show. We played our record release show, and we never played another show again. The whole band fell apart. And then I started getting these sort of like whispers, little calls from people in Nashville saying, everybody here is really loving your record. And I'm like, really? Because no one in LA gave a crap about it. Nobody cared. They only cared if something sold 10 million, whatever. Mm-hmm. So to me, it was like, there's a place in the world that loves this thing that I did. Oh my God. And so I was so flattered. And then I started getting calls going, I think Miranda Lambert kind of likes your stuff. And I'm like, man, she's cool. She's like one of the coolest chicks in country music. Great. Listen. Can you hear that? It's the ice cream man. Anyway, don't worry. He's got a mask on. Anyway, so she eventually sang it. She's someone at an award show at the time talked to someone else, and then they got it to her, and then she did it, and then blah 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 blah. So that was really, really cool. Once she sang it, then there was a lot more visibility on that song itself, and that's when I started getting all these like people calling, wanting to know about this song, and like the sexual innuendo of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Like, I don't know who wants to have anything to do, with like, I personally don't want to make love to anybody who's got a broken axle and a front wheel falling off, because I feel like maybe they need some time to heal. between whatever has just happened to their little red whack. And I mean, it was like insane. I couldn't believe how many people were like, so what's that song about?
Yeah.
I was, I don't know. It made me feel icky. But you know, she really fought for that song, and she and her manager really fought to try to get it on the radio, and I got to see her sing it at the Grammys one year, and then, you know, when Taylor Swift was doing her huge tour where she would bring people on stage, she and Taylor Swift sang it at like some venue somewhere, and so that little song was like the little engine that could, like, that song has made it into so many people's ears. It's incredible.
Yeah, I have to say that is one of my favorite Grammys performances ever, with her. And she just came out and in that little catsuit with it was just, everything about it was just so Miranda, but so that song. And it seemed to fit perfectly. And we, like, over here in the UK, they don't show the full Grammy, so they didn't show that performance because they never show the country performances. But I had seen it on YouTube, and I was like, how was this not like the most talked about performance? Because the way she'd come on it was like she was almost like a new person. It was like some kind of...
Yeah, it was like a reveal or something.
Yeah, it was just incredible. And I remember, full disclosure, I hadn't heard the song before Miranda had sung it, and I remember being like, who wrote this song? And then realizing that it was your song, and it was just like, how amazing that. And it was quite a few years later as well, so it kind of went from being your baby to like this whole, as you say, it was huge.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Amazing. And did that kind of, was that something else that kick-started your, obviously you wanted to move to Nashville, but was that something that you kind of realised then, like, people were responding to me here, that's where I need to be? When did you make the move?
I moved in 2017. So I finally moved into this house in 2018, April 2018. So I've only been here a couple of years. Yeah. But I had I'd been coming to Nashville for so long to write. And the reason I wanted to move here wasn't because people liked that record. It was more because, like, people here are like me, which is probably why people liked that record here, you know. Yeah. But I relate so much to storytellers and people who want to sit around a fire all night and tell stories about everything, but, you know, stories about people that you're never going to meet in your whole life because they're like somebody's grandma's auntie. It's like, oh man, I gotta tell you this story that happened. Okay, so it's like 1975. I wasn't born yet, but my grandma told me this crazy story. You gotta hear it. Yeah. You know, like, that people here are like addicts of stories. We're like story junkies. We just want to like talk and connect and communicate and love on each other. And the difference between here and LA for me was that, like, I had friends in LA that I was really close with, but not so much in the industry, not so much close enough. We were, you know, friendly and we loved each other. But out here, it's like people will ask you, like, how your grandma's doing and how are your nieces and nephews, and they know their names, and they you know, they care on a deeper level about you as a human. Yeah. You know, when it comes to like what you're doing with your music, it's almost considered rude to bring all that up or talk about that too much, which I have a hard time with because I want to like gush all over everyone. Like, when someone does something cool, I want to be like, oh my God, that was so cool, you did that thing. And I can see them kind of like being like, thanks a lot. Like, shut the fuck up. Yeah. So I'm still learning about that, but I just, yeah.
It's my favorite place on earth. So yes, I'm with you on that. The people of Nashville, and every single person I've spoken to during this has said the same thing about how kind the people are and how much they care. And, you know, I love that you have related to that in so many ways too. So something that very cool that has happened in the last 6 months and while you've been in that house is Miss Mae's Midnight Classics, which is it going to be an album? So give kind of anyone that doesn't know, give us a brief understanding of what it is.
Okay, so Miss Mae's Midnight Classics is a year-long tribute, one song every month, 12 songs, year-long, tribute to these writers and performers of these songs that have stuck with me like my whole life. And I recorded it. Every song is very patient and feels very noir and like after dark. Like if you listen to these at noon, they're probably going to feel kind of slow to you. You kind of want to listen to them at night. You know, time bends after like a glass of wine and, you know, whatever. These songs came to me in dreams, and you know, one of them woke me up out of a dead sleep, completely asleep, and then just like like I have to cover this song, you know. They were, for 2 years I've been working on this with one of my best, you know, friends and collaborators. His name's Sean McConnell.
Yeah.
Which do you know his music? You should.
Yeah, I definitely do. Big fan.
Yeah, and we've worked together for a long, long time. When these songs started kind of grabbing me, coming up to me and poking me in the back of the neck and, you know, tickling my feet, I just knew I couldn't do them by myself, but that it wouldn't work if I did them with anyone who wouldn't let me lead. Yeah. And, you know, a lot of times producers, they just don't feel comfortable letting an artist lead. It's almost like it makes them feel inadequate in some way. And so, but Sean's not like that. And so once he agreed to see if maybe we wanted to work together on it, he would come by the house. We recorded it here.
Yeah.
He would come by and set up the mic. The first day he put the mic on the piano and another mic, a vocal mic, you know, and I said, oh, I can't play this and sing it at the same time, right? He said, okay, well, then how do you want to do it? And I said, well, I guess we should do the piano first. And he said, okay, which one do you want to do first? And I was like, he goes, do you want to do it with a click track? I go, no, it's got to just be the emotion, you know, running it. He goes, okay, which one do you want to do first? And I was like, I have to play these and sing these at the same time, don't I? And he goes, okay, which one do you want to do first? So that's kind of how it started. He would come over. We would try to like knock out as many in a row as we could. We would do like 3-4 different full takes of each song and move on to the next song, like not even try to think about it. So they're like full from beginning to end, live piano vocal bones that we have for this thing. And then I'm looking at it going, okay, these are 12 songs that are like, if I put this all out as an album all at once, it's going to feel like a big lead balloon. It's a lot to ask people to sit down and listen to this, you know. It kind of can suck the life out of you if you don't know what you're getting yourself into, you know, if it's not your choice. Mm-hmm. So I was writing probably like a year later. I'm still working on them. And I was writing with a guy named Jake Scott. He's another singer-songwriter. He's out of LA, but he was in Nashville for a writing trip. And he said, well, you got 12 songs. Why don't you just put one out every month? I was like, you're a genius, you know? So that's when it really started kind of coming together.
Yeah.
In the meantime, Sean had taken them back to his home studio in the country and just started, like he says, pulling threads, you know, just adding things, you know, here and there, trying to see what it could use, if it wanted anything, like maybe we don't put anything else on it. Maybe we, you know, we really took our time with it. mostly because I was busy doing other things, and he was really busy doing other things. He was he's a very prolific touring artist. He's a father and a husband. He has a very rich life. And so he was busy doing other things as well. So in the end, we have these 12 songs that obviously we had no idea that they were going to hit now in the middle of a quarantine. And looking at them now, it's really interesting how the timing has, it's very serendipitous, the timing of everything. We put, the first song is Bob Dylan's The Times They Are Changin', and it came out New Year's Eve 2020.
Yeah.
And I knew that was the right thing to do. I didn't understand. I'm still every day, it kind of hits me deeper and deeper, like, wow, holy shit. I can't believe we we worked on it for so long. It's incredible, the timing of it. It's emotional.
Definitely.
Talking about it.
So the last one you released was a cover of Rebirth, which was just like goosebumps head to toe. Are we allowed to know any of the upcoming songs, or is it hush hush?
Oh, I love this question. Yeah, why not? I mean, I figure, you got the guts to hit people up and try to talk to them. You deserve, you ought to get the goods.
I'll take it.
So next month, in honor of the Tonys not happening because of Corona, we are putting out our version of a song called Nowadays from the musical Chicago. It's very sarcastic and drippy, and kind of like there's a little bit of a brat in there, but it's not temper tantrum. It's very like, feels like being hungover after like a bender, but in a sexy way. If that could ever be sexy.
No, I
Instagram model way.
yeah,
I'm so hungover.
But what a treat for me, particularly. Chicago is one of my favorite musicals, so I'm excited to hear that. I'm very much looking forward to it.
Well, I'll send it to you when we get off of Zoom.
Yes. Please do. So we have to kind of wrap things up now. And I've got a couple of quick fire questions for you. But if you're happy to, would you like to play us a little song first?
Sure. Okay, let's see. This is one of the first songs that I ever wrote that wasn't from personal experience, just kind of downloaded into my brain. And it's called The River. And I chose to play this for all of your viewers, because I think when you have to be sitting alone with your feelings and your memories, it's really easy to fall into a place of shame. And it's human nature and it's natural, but you just remember that, Miss May said it's okay, and you don't have to feel ashamed. It's okay.
Oh, I love that.
I done a bad thing, it's okay. I'm going down to the river today, and the river's gonna wash my sins away till I'm born again tomorrow. Water get over my head, make me forget my sorrow. I'm going down to the river alone. Don't tell mama and daddy I'm gone. And if they cry when I don't come home, well, just lie and tell them I'm funning. Water get out of my eyes into the river wide. I'm running and I can't swim, but it's alright, 'cause all my sin would drag me down even if I could. And if it weren't for him and the love that night, I'd be living for the light like a good girl should, 'cause a good girl should. When I meet the Lord so kind, I'm gonna give him a piece of my mind. And I'll tell him I wanna know why, oh why, if he's so damn forgiving. My daddy won't look in my eyes, and mama knows the lies I'm living. Ooh, and I can't swim, but it's alright, 'cause all my sin would drag me down even if I could. And if it weren't for him and the love that night, I'd be living for the light like a good girl should. 'Cause a good girl should.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. I loved that. And I think I love that you chose a song that's so relevant to what's going on and to how people might be feeling. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you for having me. You're welcome.
Right, so before we finish up with another song, Lucky Us, I have 3 questions for you. Same 3 questions I ask everyone.
Okay.
So quick fire, 3 songs you wish you'd written.
Rainbow by Casey Musgraves, Natalie Hembian, Shane McAnally, and possibly Ian Fitchick, but I can't remember who else. Maybe Daniel Tashin. Crazy by Patsy Cline, and Feeling Good. No, sorry, Everything Must Change by Nina Simone.
Oh, that was, yes. I love how quick that was as well. It's like you already know.
I'm surprised. I'm shocked.
And now, I always think this is a tough one. If you could never write a song again or never sing on stage again, what would you pick?
What do you mean?
So if you could only ever write songs or you could only ever sing on stage, couldn't do both, which one would you do?
I don't think I could. I mean, that's like asking right hand or left hand, which one would you cut off?
They come hand to hand. That's why I asked, because it's a.
I think they feed each other. It's like the chicken and the egg. I can't separate them.
I like that.
I like couldn't.
That. And 3 writers who you haven't yet written with, who you'd love to write with.
Oh God.
And they can be anyone. I mean, we've had literally, the spectrum is endless.
This is the hardest. Like, why is this the hardest one? Oh my God, I don't know. I guess like I would want to write with it's, I'm spoiled because I've gotten to write with so many, and so many of them are like my friends that I'm like I'm gonna go with like people who have passed away. So Bill Withers and also Dolly Parton. and Quincy Jones.
That's a good range. I like that.
Thanks.
Especially Dolly. I mean, everything about Dolly is just everything. She's everything.
It's so fun to write a song with her.
Oh, I mean, just to be in the same room as her, I think
Yes.
you feel, you know, amazing. Anyway, right. So thank you so much for doing this and for being here. I know you out with another song. All of the Midnight Classics are available to download now so far. The new one will be out in June. So thank you so much, and I look forward to the song.
Really, thank you so much for having me. All right, let me try to. Hold on. Making sure I got it. Okay. Okay, this is on Midnight Classics. This one came out in March. You'll know which one it is. I get up in the evening and I ain't got nothing to say. I come home in the morning and I go to bed feeling the same way, and I ain't nothing but tired. Just tired and bored with myself. Hey there, baby, I could use just a little help. You can't start a fire. You can't start a fire without a spark. This gun's for hire. Even if we're just dancing in the dark, message keeps getting clearer. Radio's on and I'm moving around the place. I check my look in the mirror and I wanna change my clothes, my hair, my face. Man, I ain't getting nowhere, just living in a dump like this. There's something happening somewhere. I just know that there is. Can't start a fire. Can't start a fire without a spark. This gun's for hire. Even if we're just dancing in the dark. We sit around getting older. There's a joke here somewhere and it's on me, but I'll shake this world off my shoulders. Come on, baby, this laughs on me. Stay on the streets of this town. They'll be carving you up all right. Say you gotta stay hungry. Yeah, well, I'm just about starving tonight. I'm dying for some action. And I'm sick of sitting around here trying to write this book. I need a love reaction. So come on and give me just one look. Can't start a fire. Sitting around crying over a broken heart. This gun's for hire. Even if we're just dancing in the dark, you can't start a fire. Worrying about your little world falling apart. This gun's for hire. Even if we're just dancing in the dark. Hey there, babe.